Well, hello, my dear friend. Welcome once again to Blind Dad Does. My name is Ira, and I am, well, the Blind Dad doing things. Tonight, I'm going to be discussing some different topics. Whatever comes to your mind is definitely well enough for me. But we figured we'd talk a little bit about dark family secrets and the secrets that the families want to hide and not want anybody to know about and all of that kind of good stuff. We have some dark family secrets in our family, and it's always interesting to discuss them. So how are you guys doing tonight? I hope everything is going great for you. It has been a day for us. We have, well, been doing some nice things. We made a decent dinner today. We had some Korean stir fry kind of thing, and that turned out pretty good. Although I kind of made a few boo-boos with it, but, you know, all good. All good. I try to do my best to do the cooking when I can. Lately, my kiddo, Seth, has been trying to do a lot more on the cooking side of things, and I appreciate it because I get a little tired, get a little worn out, a little bit tired of doing it, right? Yeah, and my wife is starting to pick it back up again now that she's feeling a little bit better. So give me 1 second. I just need to adjust my microphone a little bit here, and I want to make sure that I mute myself so that I don't deafen you by any kind of weird sounds that my microphone or might do. There we go. That's a little bit better, I think. Able to relax a little bit better into it. Okay, so anyways, yeah, dark family secrets, all kinds of fun things, and well, whatever ends up coming to the mind. So the Korean stir fry that we made today, I kind of like came up with it out of nowhere. You know what? I do need to adjust a little bit more. Give me 1 second here. Sorry. There we go. Just needed to get a little bit closer. I was a little bit further away than what I usually am. So anyways, Korean stir fry. I don't know if you guys like it or if you guys have tried anything along those lines or whatever the case may be. But yeah, it turned out pretty interesting. We ended up going to the store yesterday and just kind of struck upon it at random. Hey, let's try this out and see how it works out. So we did like steak strips of steak cut really thin, and green peppers and red peppers and onions and mushrooms, and then threw in some barbecue sauce and ginger and garlic, and yeah, it turned out pretty good. I had a nice heaping bowl full of it, so and then Jolene had a nice big heaping bowl full of it and then passed out because the carbs ended up hitting her pretty hard. So she did not last very long after dinner before she had to lay down and do nap time. And that's okay, because Jolene needs naps here and there to catch up on her healing processes, which are doing really well. We're really proud of the steps that she has taken to make herself, you know, feel better and everything over the past couple of months. She's really perked up a lot with it all. So that's always nice to see. Always good to see. So by the way, hello, Jolene. I see that you're listening. So my dear wifeling sitting behind me. I get my BAP drop tomorrow. Finally, I get a new one tomorrow, and hopefully this one will resolve a lot of the issues. The one that I had set up, it was basically installed into the ceiling, and gonna adjust the camera here just a little bit. Sorry. It was embedded into the ceiling, and unfortunately, the way that it was set up, it was kind of tenuous in there at best. So I ended up dropping it out of the ceiling a couple of times, and by the time that it was all said and done, I've got a couple of holes in the ceiling that I need to patch up and get fixed up. Go figure. The blind guy trying to do things, right? But you know, it's the things that we have to do the streaming, the thing, the wonders. So yeah, but tomorrow I get my new one, and I'm looking forward to it because it's got not only a black canvas with it, it has a white canvas with it as well, and a green screen. So maybe I'll be able to make use of the green screen stuff and have a little bit of fun with that. That'd be kind of cool. I haven't done the green screen thing in a very long time. It's been like years. So hopefully it would work well. The last time that I did it, the technology for like streaming with it maybe wasn't as it should be. And so I had to have it very brightly lit in order for it to chroma key correctly and that kind of thing, and eliminate the green. And by the time all was said and done, it was getting a little hot every time that I wanted to go live. It was getting a little bit warm, to say the least, because the only lights that I had available were very, very warm lights. So if I have to do such a thing again, thankfully the technology, has gotten a lot cheaper to be able to do like LED lights and that kind of thing to get it nice and brightly lit. So I'll see what I need to do to make it work, but hopefully it'll turn out okay. I think it should. But in either case, having a backdrop, I definitely feel a lot more comfortable with, to say the least, so that you guys don't have to stare at the laptop screen that is way back there in the background and all of that kind of good stuff. But yeah, anyways. So I do hope everybody out there is having a good day. It has been a good one here. We went for a walk. We did some just kind of tooling around and doing things on stream, like on the back end of the streams, to try to make things a little bit better for you guys overall, and hopefully enhance the enjoyment factor of everything. I think it'll do okay. But anyways, so today I was thinking about, like, what brought the topic up into my mind was thinking about some of the things that I've gone through over the years. After the really cool stream that we had last night, I was thinking about some of the things that I've been through over the years, and some of the different like discoveries family-wise that I have ended up making, sometimes by accident and sometimes on purpose. But some of them are pretty dark, pretty horrible. And for me, family secrets, I don't know. I guess in some cases, in some instances, having secrets in the family isn't necessarily a bad thing. Just depends on what it is and who it is that you're giving the information to. But at the same time, my life has always been a very open book for people. And I think that when it comes to secret things, that's where the opportunity for something to bite you in the butt comes in. Like the more you try to hide things, the worse things get on you. And that can be kind of hard to deal with, depending on what the situation is. Again, the circumstance that's there. Yeah, most family secrets do more harm than good, I think, because not just for the, like, anybody who's outside of the family, but I mean, like, for the purposes of those that are in the family, secrets can be devastating when they are discovered, as opposed to, why don't we just get the information out right now, right here, and deal with whatever consequences come up, right? So I'll give you an example from Jolene. She was happy to allow me to speak about this kind of thing on her behalf. And she can correct me if I do make any mistakes, because she is here in the chat room. But just to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit, I think what happened with her, as far as family secrets are concerned, is like the best example of things that can devastate a person when they are learned, as opposed to if they had been told from the get-go what things are going on, basically. So one of the big ones for her in particular has to do with her dad. Sorry, I'm just checking a message here. So, it has to do with her dad. Now, I know she's mentioned before, like on the radio shows that we did and on, like different chat rooms that we've gone into and stuff like that. She has no issues like talking about this or the fact that it, is there. But her father committed suicide when she was 5 years old. Now, or I'm sorry, 5 months old, not 5 years old. I know she's like typing frantically, no, but no, it was when she was 5 months old. And it was right around Christmas time. And for a long time, she would get very like depressed and stuff around Christmas time and not really know why it was going on. Like, didn't have a full grasp of why she felt the things that she did during that period of time of year. So, and do you mind if I reveal like what all went on, Jolene? I'm just making sure before I go full details with things, just to make sure, because I don't want to speak out of sorts, you know. Free to reveal all. Okay. No, I mean, it's okay. I can discuss it. It's all good. But I just wanted to make sure that you were okay with talking about the lead up to it and everything along those lines. So I'll give it as best as I can, you know, kind of a overview, outsider's perspective on things. But essentially what it comes down to is that her mom, for a long while, was married to somebody else, and there was a lot of abuse. There was a lot of different things that happened in that situation that she needed to escape from. And her ex told her that if she ever got married again, or basically got together with anybody again, that he would make her life a living hell. And so as time progressed, she met Jolene's father. They fell in love. They ended up getting married, and it was kind of a secret marriage kind of a thing. They were trying to hide it from this guy finding out for as long as they could. Now, bear in mind that she had 2 other kids with this first husband, a daughter and a son, that he kept from her, basically, when she left. Okay, she's correcting me. It wasn't a secret, but okay, that's right. Okay, yeah, sorry. She's frantically typing at me. You're getting it wrong. I know I'm not telling it necessarily the best, but I'm trying. The point is, though, that like when her ex realized that the marriage was there, he was upset about it. You know, he was tripping about it because she's together with this other person and not him. And he basically like did what he could to try to make things rough, right? But then she got pregnant with Jolene, and that's kind of where the descent into madness really came to fruition. Right, that's what I'm getting to. Yeah. Okay. So anyways, so basically Jolene's sister was told by her father to do some things in order to try to break up Jolene's mom and dad. And what it comes down to is that she accused Jolene's father of molestation. Now, there's no evidence to show that really was what happened. Essentially, it comes down to it was just a story that she was telling, because she was being prompted to do so by her father, which was her mom's ex, right? So, in the process of all of this happening, Jolene's father was like feeling trapped, was feeling heartbroken, you know, all the things that would go along with that kind of an accusation. Right. Her sister wrote some things in her diary and left it on her desk at school open to the page so that someone would discover it and therefore start the ball rolling to impact Jolene's father. So in the end, the decision that was made by her father was to take his own life. And that was when Jolene was 5 months old. So I'm kind of, again, paraphrasing things. There was a lot of things that occurred. But later as well, the effects of this suicide not only affected Jolene and her life, but it affected her sister as well, because her sister ultimately ended up committing suicide too when she was 14 years old. So for whatever reason, Jolene's mom hid all of this stuff from Jolene. And it's understandable, like when she's young, maybe, not giving the full story of things, right? But Jolene discovered all of these things when she was 17 years old, almost 18 and getting ready to move out. That's when all of the pieces started to get put together for her to figure out what happened with her dad. And if I'm remembering correctly, Jolene, she didn't even tell you that he committed suicide, right? She just said that he died. Am I thinking on that correctly? Hi, Tina. Welcome to the show. I hope that you're having a really good day. We're talking about dark family secrets today. We're talking about like the things that families try to hide from their family members and from the outside, and how sometimes those secrets can be very devastating, not only if it's discovered on the outside, but to those who are growing up and living within these secrets. They can be very horrible. So we're kind of discussing with Jolene, her family had a very dark secret, which is the fact that her father committed suicide and the circumstances that surrounded why he chose to go that direction with things. Let me catch up on chat here just a little bit. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So essentially, Jolene was saying in the chat there that the one of the things that her mom did a handwritten letter, made copies to her ex-husband's mom, explaining to her what her ex-husband, this mom's son, did during this whole situation. Okay, so I'm just sorry. I'm just trying to catch up with everything and keep up with things because Jolene's typing a lot too, and I'm trying not to get things as messed up. You know what I mean? But it's like outsider's perspective on things, so I'm just giving kind of like the overview of the story here. But essentially, her father took his life by carbon monoxide poisoning. He started the car while he was in the garage and just sat there until he passed on. And so Jolene was not told about any of this stuff while she was younger, or even like as she got older into her teen years and stuff, even though she questioned a lot the circumstances surrounding her father's death. It was all kept very hush-hush from her. Hi, S19. Welcome to the show. We're talking about dark family secrets tonight, and like just weird, cringy family secrets, anything basically that kind of comes to mind, or I mean, whatever anybody wants to talk about. I'm always an open book with things, right? So, just trying to catch up on chat here. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So like Jolene was saying in the chat, basically he died of self-inflicted carbon monoxide poisoning, but he worked at a factory at the same time. So she could have told Jolene, you know, well, hey, he died in an accident at the factory or whatever the case may be, and not left it just, I'm not going to talk about it. You know, you don't need to know and all that kind of stuff. So the point is the effects that it had on her as a child growing up and even up into her teen years was that she knew something happened with her father, but could never figure it out, could never place her fingers on it, and essentially blamed herself for her father's death in certain ways, like slightly. But the point is that her mom tried to program her and convince her in weird ways that her father died because of her. Like, because of Jolene, he committed suicide. Because of Jolene, her sister committed suicide. Right? And in a very twisted kind of way, a brain could think of that, right? Because, well, it happened after she was born, and her birth was kind of like what triggered her mom's ex-husband to do the things that he did in convincing her sister to accuse her father of this molestation, right? So in a very dark, twisted way, somebody could really warp their mind around to think, yes, this is this child's fault. But she was 5 months old when it happened. How the hell is this Jolene's fault? You see what I mean? And that's really the only thing that Jolene had to keep in mind as she was growing up, and as these accusations at her were given by her mom, you know, and the treatment that she was given because of this whole thing by her mom. It was what kept her going. You know, it's what kept her intact. But had it all just kind of been laid out to her, and, you know, didn't have to give details as a young person, right? But to at least like admit these things occurred, you know, okay, your father took his own life. Okay, well, why? Well, there were circumstances that happened, and he felt that that was the only thing that he can do. You know, just even that alone is enough for somebody to kind of like grasp hold of and go with, you know what I mean? To try to just, okay, maybe I'm not going to have the full explanation, but at least now I know a little bit, right? I hope that makes sense. Like that's the kind of dark crap that can happen when it comes to these family secrets, you know, that are really horrible, you know, they're really, really horrible. Okay, let me catch up on chat again here. So S19, with that uncle situation, now is that something that like your family has tried to hide over the years? That I'm just asking because I know that something like that, especially, families do try to do everything that they can do to like insulate themselves away from that kind of a person, you know. I know in my own family we have that sort of thing happening. We have people who are rapists, we have people who are pedophiles, and some of the family members insulate themselves away from it and just, you know, have stepped out of the situation. People like me, for instance, I've gotten away from my toxic family members. And then others are in abject denial that anything like that ever occurred, you know? So I don't know. It's kind of funky what ends up happening with people. Okay. Let me catch up on chat here again. Sorry. For those of you guys just tuning in for the first time, my name is Ira. I am a blind guy, so I'm trying to do what I can with with what I have to work with to make sure that I'm being able to read the chat, but it's a little difficult for me to keep up with it sometimes when there's a lot of things coming in at once. So I beg your patience and cry your pardon as I try to keep up with things here. Okay, so Jolene said, I would ask my family how he died since my mom ignored me when I asked, but they always told me to ask my mom. That was frustrating. I never knew until I was 17. And the same day I discovered how he died was the same day I discovered another secret. S19 says, my sister's ex was abusing her. When I found out, I wanted to kill him. Luckily, my older brother beat the shit out of him. So, I've got similar circumstances in my family too, S19, and that is horrible. I went to go basically kill somebody when they were being abusive, and they were already sitting in jail during that period of time, so I couldn't actually do anything. But you know, I don't put up with anybody abusing people. You know, it just, I've been through it myself. I don't want to see anybody else going through it. Jolene said, the other secret basically is I had 3 brothers that I never knew about. It was mentioned in his obituary. When I asked her about it, she said, you never asked. See, and that's something that again, her mom did to her constantly. Is Jolene would find out something, would confront her with it, and, well, I never told you because you never asked. Okay, well, that's a lie of omission, right? I mean, you didn't. How am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to ask about if I don't know that X thing exists to begin with, right? How am I supposed to figure it out? Give me something to go on. Let me at least know the truth about who and what I am would be a nice thing, you know? It's ridiculous. So Tina, so technically speaking, your name isn't your name. Is that what it comes down to? That's a weird one. That's a weird one. Funny story kind of surrounding that. Our one kiddo who is female, for whatever reason, the Social Security Administration has her listed as gender male. and yeah, so but it's kind of funny because their circumstance basically is that they're working through trying to figure out whether or not they are trans male. And so I told them, you know, I mean, if it works out that that's how you're going to be, at least you don't have to go through the Social Security Administration and change things around. You've got one step ahead of like so many other people that are out there, you know? So, anyways, had to change your name to reflect your legal name. Yeah, that's a weird one. There really is. So Jolene says, imagine being 17, finally learning how your dad died, and then discovering you also had siblings you know nothing of. It was a roller coaster of a day. Yeah, it really was. So, S19, are they preventing her from getting any kind of treatment? Is that what it is? Or are they, is it just that they're not taking patients until after the coronavirus thing is eased up? I'm just wondering because I know here in America, we've had situations where, like Jolene would have to go to the doctor or something like that. And, so for instance, her surgery, that took place in December, we were actually supposed to have it done way earlier, but it ended up getting delayed because of COVID, because the surgery, technically speaking, was considered to be an elective surgery because her life wasn't, like she wasn't on her deathbed at that moment in time, basically. So they ended up delaying it a couple of times until they finally were able to get it done in December. So your cat is 88 in cat years. Is that what it is? um, I've had a couple of cats that have been really older. I think the oldest cat I had was 20 before he passed away. But I know a lot of people out there have cats that are a lot older than that. It's always kind of funny to think about how old they technically really are. I think Elliot is 7 years old, so he'd be technically like 28 or 29 or something like that at this point. I don't know, 30 something. I don't know. So with the dark family secrets, you know, it's like some families do it because they think that it's the right thing to do. And then some families do it because this is something that we never talk about, right? We want to ignore this for as long as we possibly can. And maybe if we ignore this, then it doesn't exist or something like that, you know? It's really bizarre how people's minds work, you know, to try to shelter themselves. I love kitties, S19. I really do. They're some of my favorite creatures, to say the least. We've got our 2 here, and I'd love to get a couple more if we can. But our main issue is that Elliot, who is the first one that we had, doesn't really like other cats. He's very solitary. And so we've tried to adopt others over the years, and it didn't work out very well. Thankfully, with the one that we have, else, you know, otherwise, Eva, they get along reasonably. I mean, there are days where they'll go at each other a little bit, you know, but I think they've gotten to the point where they understand that she needs to be here, so they get along as best as they can. But there are days where where they're just not getting along very well. So we try to keep them steady, you know, and when they're having those kind of days, well, we'll give them a little bit of extra catnip or something just to calm their little kitty nerves down a little. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. So Jolene's family secrets, they're pretty horrible, and one of the issues with hers is that, again, like, because she didn't really know the truth of things, had it not been for her, because let me just put it to you this way, Jolene would have made a really great lawyer. She always does this thing that I call lawyering up, because she can think so logically and critically that, like, she'll use it like as a weapon sometimes if she really gets in the mood to, you know. But what ended up helping her was that when her mom would try to basically lay on her that the death of her father and her sister was her fault, which she tried to do multiple times over the years, Jolene's mind said, well, wait, where does this make any sense? Because I was 5 months old when my father died. So how exactly is that my fault? How did I have anything to do with the choices that he made in that moment in time? And that basically is what kept her really sane, you know, because laying that kind of a thing on a child, you know, if she hadn't had that, just imagine how much more hurtful and devastating this family secret would be. But she didn't let it happen, you know, she didn't let it get to her. So I'm proud of her for, you know, being that way, for seeing the logic in the situation, you know. Right, yeah. At the time, you didn't even know how old you were. You discovered that as the years have gone on. But what I was saying at the beginning of things too is that for many years, and even still to this day, somewhat, Jolene, during that period of time of the year, would go into like a depression. You know, it would really, Christmas time area would really affect her, and she didn't really understand why until she discovered when all of it actually occurred with her father and realized, okay, this was actually during the same period of time I have the depression stuff going on. So, you know, had she been told about everything, even when he died at a younger age, maybe that depression would not have been as much on her. I hope that that makes sense. Like, that's what this kind of thing can do to somebody, you know, to the psychology of somebody. They can get really affected and not even really realize why it's affected them. Yeah. So it was the day after Christmas that he committed suicide, and that's right around when she would go through the depression stuff. And so when we figured out when all of this stuff was going on, you know, she was relieved in some ways because she's got an answer to it now. You know, she's got something that she can focus and say, okay, this is why this is happening. Whereas before, she didn't even have that for herself. Jolene says, I don't blame her for not telling me he suicided as a child, but she could have done some sort of half-truth to help path the way to truth later. Right, exactly. That's what I was saying earlier, is that, you know, you could have at least been told, well, okay, he died the day after Christmas. And really, I mean, that alone would have been an answer, you know what I mean? But to be told like blatant lies throughout everything, or just nothing at all, you know, literally ignored when you ask the questions. I mean, how is that right? You know what I mean? How is that a way to be? So S19, see, that's what I'm talking about too with that family stuff, you know, the fact that it's affecting you and you didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, that's a horrible thing, but I can definitely, I can see why it would have that big of an impact. I mean, a family member who does that kind of a thing, it taints everybody. It really does. It taints everybody. And, yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a way that you could try to distance yourself somehow, you know, from it. But that's a hard circumstance. It really is. I'm sorry that you're going through all of that. Right, exactly. So Jolene was saying, for those of you guys not being able to see the chat, Jolene was saying that the fact that she would never answer when she asked how he died is the core of my issues with her and why our relationship began to crack when she was so little. That's it exactly. I mean, the trust factor between a parent and a child is so easily broken, and it can be done like at a moment's notice. Like, it doesn't take much for a child to start really having cracks appear, like a wedge appear in their feelings about their parents. it's hard because like every child goes through that moment where they realize that their parents aren't God, you know, or that their father isn't the superhero that they grew up to think that he was being, or that, and I'm not saying for everybody, but like a lot of kids do have that, you know. And so, I mean, everybody goes through that, but to then throw in the blatant, lies or mistruths or omissions and so on and so forth, you know, that makes it even worse. And, I know that like one of Jolene's big pet peeves for herself is people who make assumptions about things. And because of, again, the way that her mother would act towards her, it became, almost a phobia of sorts to have people make assumptions about things. So hi Iron, how you doing? Good to see you, brother. We're talking about dark family secrets tonight. We're talking about just basically anything that comes to mind, really. But, you know, kind of the topic of, at the forefront is sort of dark family secrets and how they can affect things and all that kind of stuff. But I hope that you're having a really good day over there. We're having a good day here, you know, just gabbing about whatever ends up coming to mind and all of that kind of good stuff. For anybody else that's just coming in, welcome. Where have you been? I've been here forever. I'm glad to have you here with me in this moment in time. And I hope you're having a really good day. And of course, my system's trying to delay on me here. But okay, we'll get through here. You're AFK at the moment. No. You can't listen to me in the background. I'm going to be that soft, soothing voice in the background for you. Anyways, so that's kind of Jolene's big family secret. You know, there's a lot of them that are there with her, but I wanted to talk about a couple of my own too that I think that you guys would find some interest in.
Welcome back, friend. I knew this day would come.
I literally hit that button like 2.5 minutes ago. Why are you all of a sudden doing it now? What the heck, system? The weirdo? Anyways, so as soon as I noticed Iron came in, I hit the button and now it just poof appeared out of nowhere. So anyways, one of the things, like, again, you know, we can go into how like these things affect your relationships with your parents and that kind of stuff. Like one that affected me was, my mom always told me that she and my dad got married, like a year before I was born. I do know that when I was born, I was actually, I guess you could say from the moment that I was born, I was meant to be here, you know, even though I've been through all the circumstances that I've been through, tried to commit suicide as many times as I did, been near death so many times, you know, all that stuff. Right. But it kind of like all started at the beginning of things, because while I was in the womb, she had multiple tumors in her uterus along with me. There was a 10-pound blood tumor. There was a 5-pound tumor. There was a bunch of 3-pound tumors and a couple of 1-pound tumors in there with me. And she was told, you need to get an abortion because you're not going to be able to survive this birth. And she said, no, I'm still going to go through with it. And I do know that when I was born, the doctors came out to talk to my dad and basically confronted him, telling him, you need to make a choice of who you want to have survive when things are going wrong, because it's going to have to be one or the other, either the mom or the child. And I know that he decided to keep her. I mean, I don't blame him for that at all. You know, I don't hold that against him at all. It's just, that's an untenable kind of a decision. You know what I mean? That to have to come to terms with, okay, either my wife is going to survive or my child is going to survive. I don't know if I'd be able to make that choice, you know, and I'm glad that I've gotten the vasectomy so that I never do have to worry about that choice again. So just, again, my life is an open book. I have no problems discussing the fact that, yes, I've been fixed. I did it years ago so that Jolene wouldn't have to worry about getting pregnant, because if she did, it probably would kill her. So anyways, so I knew all of that stuff was there, right? But then I found out later in life that, in fact, they technically did not get married until after I was born. Now, that's not really major, right? That's not really major, dark secret kind of a thing. But I can say that if it affected me on a deep level, because it was something in my life that I had knowledge of and could rely upon, and suddenly, no, it's not there anymore, you know? So it's like these little things that we tell our kids, we may not realize in that moment in time how much it's actually going to affect them, you know, how much it's going to affect not only them psychologically, but affect the trust factor between you and them too. That's rough, you know, it's hard. So then another side portion of all of that is that my mom always told me that she had basically, up until my father, one husband. Like, she'd only been married one time before that, to a man named Henry. And that my brothers and sisters who came from her, like, basically I'm one of 13 kids, but everybody else is halves to me, right? None of them are full brother and sister to me. They're all half sisters and half brothers. The kids that came from her were all with Henry other than me. Okay. All right. So, I have since found out that she's actually been married a lot more times than just those two before I grew up. You see what I mean? Like, she's been married, I think, 4 times since my dad. But before then, again, it was just her marrying my dad and Henry. Okay. That's what I was always told. That's what the family always said too. All right. So wasn't just her saying it, but it was the whole family was behind this. However, in reality, we have found how many, Jolene? 4 marriages before my father. I think if I remember it, it's 4. There's a bunch. So in total, she's been married like 9 times, but she only claimed a couple of them. You see what I mean? Yeah, 3 to 4. One of them when she was like 18, you know? And the kicker part is that she comes from a Catholic family. And so I think that might be why the family tried to deny things as much as they could, because, again, they're good Catholics. They're not supposed to go through divorces and so on and so forth, you know, at least back in that day. Horrible situation. Oh my God, excommunicated. She got excommunicated from the church and everything, you know, from leaving her first husband, quote unquote first husband. Hey Zart, how you doing tonight? I hope that you're having a really great night. No, not Jewish. I'm actually not religious at all anymore. Funny story. My mom was raised a Catholic. My dad was raised an atheist. They sent me to a Lutheran school, and I went to a Baptist church. So I had a bit of a weird upbringing when it came to religious things. But no, not Jewish. Native American, actually. So anyways, back in that day, you know, if you got married and you were from a good Catholic family, you never got divorced. You know, it was a thing. You'd be ostracized, excommunicated, all that kind of stuff. But like I said, like I found out when I was about 17 or so, about one of my mom's previous marriages before this Henry guy. And, it in weird ways, it kind of devastated me because like I had confronted her many times over the years about, you know, well, how many times were you married? Just once, you know, just once. It was just Henry and then your father. So I guess the problem that comes in is why lie? You know, why have that there to begin with? Because everything's a matter of record. If somebody really wants to look, they're going to figure it out, right? But why hold that back to begin with? One of the other things that I was able to find out as well is that part of the divorce that she had from this Henry guy, again, there were 3 brothers and sisters. Okay, so there's one brother Steve, one brother Clint, me, and then my sister Teresa. That's from my mom. The rest of the kids all come from my dad's side, right? So I found out, like, when I was a little younger, that when she ended up divorcing Henry, he kept all the kids, except for me, of course, because I was born later. I'm the youngest of everybody. And she always told me that it was because she wanted them, but she didn't feel that she could raise them. Okay. Well, in the process of discovery, what I have found out is that actually she had the kids taken away from her for neglect and so on and so forth. And that it was actually not only Henry, but my grandma, her mom, was pushing for her to lose custody of the kids. So then as I'm being raised by this neglectful person, you know, I've since found out, okay, you know, this happened before I was even born. So why didn't something happen with me? You know what I mean? It's like, it's weird, right? But it's like those little things that families hold in themselves that they don't end up talking about. They don't end up revealing, or they don't end up facing in any kind of way. And these things can lead to really hard circumstances with the kids who are trying to live through these lies, you know, and trying to figure out, well, why have you never told me? Why are you not talking about this? Why do you not feel like I need to know, even though this is something that's affecting my life? You see what I mean? It's like, really, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. So another one, you know, my mom, speaking about my mom again, my mom, has always told me that her dad was X person, right? And, so again, good Catholic family. All of these people were good Catholic family, right? Yeah, there's a lot of secrets around my mom. There really are. Some pretty crazy ones too. But she always told me that my grandfather was X person. Okay. Yet as I've gotten older, I've discovered that the person that she told me was my grandfather was not actually my blood grandfather, but was a second marriage, because her actual father wasn't really her dad. You know, like she didn't end up finding out herself that the person that she called dad wasn't actually her dad, that he ended up actually dying when she was young, and her mom, my grandma, never told her that this person that she was raised up with calling dad was not actually her dad. I mean, these are so it's like me trying to delve back. If I wanted to do like a genealogy study on my family, and the family is not being open with who is what where, how am I supposed to like figure these things out? You see what I mean? I do know that somewhere in the back of my family, I do know that some of my relatives got taken out of the families and put into the boarding schools, the Indian boarding schools, and that the family that went through that are in complete denial, or at least before their deaths and stuff, were in complete denial of their heritage, of their culture, of their people. So when you have all of that going on, how are you supposed to deal with discovery? You see what I mean? It's almost impossible to do it. Jolene, yes, thank you for correcting me. I'm sorry, I got a little distracted by everything and misspoke things. But basically, my mom's real dad wasn't her dad. The way that she ended up discovering it was that when she was going to school, the other kids were making fun of her because they were telling her that her dad was the janitor. And so when she confronted her mom about it later, her mom basically admitted that that's the circumstance, you know? So otherwise her mom was hiding it from her and wasn't going to tell her. Like, she never would have known had it not been for these other kids talking about things, right? So again, it's like the circumstances of these lies and these secrets and these tall tales and everything that go within these family circles, as someone who gets raised up in it, you've got to really try to figure out ways to deal with it and to still function, even though, like, sometimes, like, again, with my circumstance and with Jolene's circumstance, sometimes these things that we're told are so fundamental to who we are or who we believe that we are, that when we discover the truth otherwise, it's really psychologically devastating. It's very hard to like figure out, okay, well then who the hell am I? You see, who the hell am I really then, if all of this stuff is not the truth? You know, it's like, I've never had to go through the process of somebody who has been adopted and then discovered like later that they were adopted. I'm thankful that I've never had to go through that, but I can imagine what that kind of a thing would be like pain-wise, to not be told from the beginning that this set of people that you call your parents are not actually your blood relatives. One thing with our kids, so as I've spoken about before, my ex walked out basically in the middle of the night telling me that she didn't want to have anything to do with me and the kids anymore, and took off, which I can get into here in a little bit too. But when Jolene came into the picture, the kids were a little bit older, and we never, like, even though they didn't remember their mom and they started calling Jolene mom, we never pushed that on them. And we never really hid the fact from them that, hey, Jolene's not your bio mom. You know, she's not your biological mother. If you do want to know about your mother, you can ask me about it. I'm not going to hide it from you, right? But they knew basically from jump that Jolene's not bio mom. But if you feel comfortable enough to call her mom, then go ahead. Jolene will accept it. She'll take whatever name you want to call her, as long as it's not you stupid bitch or something, right? So it's a thing where you have to really be truthful on a fundamental level with the people that hold your trust the most, because if you're not, and they discover that truth later, you can't really blame that person for turning away from you. You know what I mean? You really can't fault them for saying, okay, I can't trust you with anything at this point in time. If you've literally lied about the very fabric of my being, then what's the point of being here? You know, what else can I believe from you? You know, if you're telling me the lie about who and what I am, or who and what our entire family is, then how am I supposed to trust you with the little things? You know, I hope that all that makes sense. It's like it tears apart the very fabric of who you are thinking you are. I'm going to grab a quick drink here. Give me one moment. Okay, sorry about that. I'm just trying to catch up on chat a little bit while I'm taking a drink and taking a moment. So yeah, it's like these family secrets that some families hold dear are like the most ridiculous things too, because just a little bit of digging is going to reveal everything. You know, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Just even like the barest scratch of the surface could make the whole house come tumble down, you know? So, yeah, what other family secrets, are there that you guys might be willing to reveal? I'm very curious, you know. I've revealed some dark things with mine, you know, to say the least, but, like I said, I've never bit any bones. I've never hidden anything from my kids, because I don't want to put them through that same kind of stuff that I went through. You know, it's a horrible experience to go through as a kid, to know that what you have felt you can trust and rely on is not something that you can. I mean, another one from Jolene's family that she was talking about earlier, to me, and said, you know, hey, you can talk about this one. One of her cousins, the person that he calls dad is not actually his dad. And like, people in the family do know that he's not, but he's fully under the assumption, like he's never discovered otherwise, that this person is not actually his biological father. And yet, you know, if you were to look at him, he looks different than like most of the other people in the family do. You know, his hair color is all different, and the way that he acts and mannerisms, you know, everything is like different, right? He's kind of a standout with it all. And it's because he has this different father, but nobody's ever told him. Well, why? What's the point of hiding it? I think that, like, so one of my biggest pet peeves, and we can go into this because this has to do with family too, you know what I mean? But one of my biggest pet peeves is, like, for a parent to tell their child, hey, that's your dad, or hey, that's your mom, or whatever the case may be, and they're not. Or you need to call this person father, you need to call this person daddy, or whatever the case may be, that kind of thing really ticks me off, and I see that happening with families a lot. It happened with me. In fact, my eldest daughter, her mom and I discussed this a little bit on a couple of other shows too. Her mom and I had a very bad relationship. She tried to murder me on our honeymoon, and the relationship just did not last very long after that. Right. I tried over the years to get custody of her, but, especially during that time period, it was very difficult for a father to get custody of the child when the mother was willing to take that child, right? Especially in the places that we live. Right. So, like Jolene was saying there in the chat, that with her cousin's situation, the guy that he calls dad was actually abusive to him, and still he's never discovered the truth that this person is not actually his real father. I mean, that's horrible, it really is. Right. His other kid with the mom sister never got that harsh treatment, and that does happen. That does happen. Sometimes steps are just horrific to the kids. It's one reason why I'm so grateful for Jolene being who she is. She took these kids under her wing, 100%. They're her kids, and she would never, under any circumstances, do anything except love them with all of her heart. She's a blessing, not a curse, But anyways, so I tried over the years to get custody of my oldest child from her mom, and was never successful. I mean, I spent thousands of dollars, so much time trying to get it done, and it didn't happen. But there was one time that I went to go take her for the weekend for my visitation, and her mom was together with the man of the week. She bounced from guy to guy to guy to guy. Went to a park to pick her up, and she got into the car, and her mom was in the car with this new beau of hers, and they started to drive away. And my daughter tells me, "Oh yeah, my daddy's in that car." What? Yeah, my daddy's in that car. My mommy says that that's my daddy. He's up there in that car right now. How do you respond to that without, like, getting really angry? I just kind of shook I just did my best to, like, not speak it, not talk about it in any kind of way with her. Because I didn't, again, I was young, I was like 23 at that time. And I just didn't know how to respond to it, without being like, bullshit, I'm your father, that kind of thing. Right. Because I didn't want to do anything to harm her thoughts as far as her mom was concerned. Yeah, Iron, it's very tough to respond calmly. So instead of getting like angry and all of that kind of stuff, that I figured the only thing that was best for me to do was just keep silent for that moment in time, and try to hold my breath and hold my tongue while my heart was literally being ripped out and stomped on the floor, until I could talk to her mom. Basically is what it came down to. And when I did talk to her mom, that's when the anger came out. Because I'm of the mind, again, like I was saying earlier, when it came to our kiddos that are here, we never taught them or prompted them to say that Jolene is mom. They came to that decision themselves. In fact, Crystal, when she wanted to start calling Jolene mommy, asked me and asked her, would it be okay if I call you mommy? And of course Jolene's like, yes, but, just kind of like tried to do things in the way that she could, I mean, you can call me whatever you want. If you feel comfortable calling me mommy, then sure. I would be happy if you did, but didn't want to push it, didn't want to prompt it, didn't want to make it so that that's what happened. So like I said, I mean, these kids have always known that Jolene is not bio mom. We've been very open with them all along, that she's not their biological mom, but they love her and they adore her as if she is 100% in every other way their mom, because she is. I think that when I see this happening a lot today, and it was starting to get a little bit more prevalent, more frequent when I was growing up. But I come from the 80s. My teen years were in the 80s, right? So teenage pregnancies and so on and so forth weren't as big then as they became like in the 90s and the early 2000s. And of course now we're a little bit more on the downswing too. But I would see mothers going from guy to guy to guy to guy, saying to their kids, you need to call him daddy. You need to call him this. You need to call him that, and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, frankly, that kind of thing really pisses me off. It really does, because you're programming your kid to be accepting of something that they don't need to accept. You know what I mean? Like, and especially when it comes to like going through multiple partners, a lot of parents out there don't take into account that when you get together with somebody, your kid is also together with them. It's like they always seem to take a back seat to the relationships that they're getting into. And that really annoys me. It's a big pet peeve for me, because I've always had the thought that if I'm together with somebody, my kids are with them too. And I've got to make sure that this person that's going to be in my life is going to be somebody that my kids are going to be able to have a positive experience with too. You know what I mean? So it's like when these kids' mom left, I mean, I was done. I was like, I'm not getting together with anybody after this. There's just no way. I've had enough. I'm going gay. I'm done. You know what I mean? All that kind of stuff went through my head. And then Jolene came along, and changed my mind. But thankfully, though, like I know how lucky I am to have the person in my life that I do, because it's so easy for step parents to slip into the mindset of, this isn't my kid, so I'm going to have either very little to do with them, or I don't care what happens to them. It's like, it kind of seems to go one way or the other, right? It's very rare to see a step be 100% about the kid that isn't theirs, you know? I do hate to say it, but I need to jump AFK just real fast. So I'm going to be right back. Unfortunately, nature is calling pretty loudly, and my bladder ain't what it used to be. So I'm going to be right back, guys. And I'm sorry. I apologize. Just hold on for a few minutes, please. Okay, guys, sorry about that. Thank you for your patience. I hate to have to run like that, but I'm not as young as I used to be. The bladder calls. So anyways, yeah, like I really get annoyed when it comes to like how parents like treat their kids. A lot of times kids get treated like they're second class citizens, you know, and like they take a back seat to everything. That, like, okay, let me give you a perfect example of like the mindset that people have today and how much it really confuses me and irks me. I was watching a news broadcast and the reporter was talking about, you know, don't leave your kids in the hot car and so on and so forth, right? So here's what she said, and it was almost like she was like, I mean, she was doing it in the reporter way, of course, you know what I mean? But like, I could tell by the way that she was talking that she couldn't believe that she had to say this kind of thing either, right? But basically what it came down to was she said, to make sure that you don't forget that your kid or your pet is in the back of the car, you should put something important back there like your purse or your phone. Isn't your kid supposed to be the most important thing? I mean, how does one forget that their kid is in the back seat? I'm not the most memorable person, you know. I don't remember everything that I run across. But I've never forgotten my kid in the back of the car. You know, like what goes through the mind of a person that ends up like having that occur. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Right? Exactly. It's like, leave something important in the back of the car, like your phone or your purse, so that you don't forget that your kid is in the back. I don't get that, like I don't understand. And yet kids are supposed to be the most important resource that we have. Kids are supposed to be like, the kid that's in your life is supposed to be the most important thing in your life. At least I thought. At least that's the way it should be. It's the way it's supposed to be. So I don't know, like when we're in a time frame where this kind of thing is the norm, do we really have much hope? This is why I talk about like my concerns about artificial intelligence, because here we have this literal species that we're creating out of our minds, and it's coming pretty far. Like, a lot of people think AI doesn't really exist very much, but it does. Like, we've got pretty advanced AI starting to come up, like some pretty interesting things. But are we really ready for that? Like, I see how we treat our children. And I mean we as humanity, not we specific people, right? But we as humanity. I see how children are treated. They're neglected. They're abused. They're set aside. They're cast aside. They are, again, treated as second-class citizens. And I don't know if it's a product of the fact that, like, fathers have been removed from families a lot. Fathers get taught basically that it's okay to, hit that and run kind of a thing. And as long as you're paying your support, don't worry about it, kind of a deal. Or if it's because of just us as humanity not being mature. But in either case, we're developing these artificial intelligences that are literally children of our minds. And we're not doing very well with our own children, our biological children. So are we really ready for this entire species being created out of us? And I think that the answer really has to be no. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not a Luddite by any means. I love my technology. I love technology. And I love what it can do. But there's also the thought that has to be there that what techs we develop, we need to make sure that we have enough maturity to handle it. Take nuclear weapons, for instance. The nuclear experience can be a very positive thing if it's done correctly. You can generate a great amount of power out of nuclear things. You can generate all kinds of stuff out of it, right? But one of the biggest things that can be generated from it is devastation, correct? So, that has been the focus more than anything, because we as humans haven't matured to the point where we don't feel like we need to have all of those weapons and all of those things. We're still very nationalistic. We're still very I don't want to necessarily say like self-enclosed, xenophobic, all of that kind of stuff really is a big part of what is still there in humanity, and I'm not like okay, let me put it to you this way. I'm not like a proponent of the one world government kind of thing as it would stand if it was to come into play today, because it would be an absolutely horrific thing, right? But I do think that what would progress humanity forward is to have us be unified, just not what they would unify us under, like as it stands right now. I hope that makes sense. Like, yes, we see like what would happen if like the powers that be and the powers that don't be were to take, control right now. For instance, they don't have maybe the best interests of humanity in mind. They have their own best interests there, right? But in order for us to really make real true progress to go forward as a unified species, we do have to kind of understand that we do need to kind of be under a singular umbrella as a human species. But we're not even to the point where people understand that somebody that's Native American or Black or Asian or anything along those lines, that they're not even the same species. They're still treated as a different race entirely. They're not treated as human beings. As long as we've still got all of that stuff going on, we're not ready for us to create an entire species out of ourselves. I hope that I'm making sense by all of that. Let me catch up on chat here a little bit. Polygator, hello, welcome to the chat, welcome to the show. I hope that you're having a really great night, and come on in, have a seat. The drinks are over there on the left, and make sure you guys tip your waitresses because she's been on her feet all day and is very tired. So welcome to my little pit stop on the information superhighway. I hope that you guys are having a really good day. I am Ira. I am a blind guy. I'm just here talking about the random stuff that comes to my mind, and hopefully you guys are along for the ride as well. So going to catch up on chat here just a little bit. Let's see. And if you notice me squinting and doing weird things again, it's because I'm blind. Like anything past a few inches in front of my face is lost to me. So I'm having to squint really hard to see what's being typed and stuff like that. So, okay. The many don't care about others these days. We being the free would also be eliminated. Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Great, Polly. Awesome. So, I am the strangest person that I've ever met. I talk about weird topics. I talk about deep topics. Sometimes I talk games. I do all kinds of weird stuff here on my channel. So, if you're over there on Twitch, I think if you're on Twitch, I think you're over there on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button. And I'm here every day. I just do odd things and hope that everybody likes to come along for the ride. So, anyways, we're kind of talking tonight about dark family secrets. We're talking about whatever anybody else wants to talk about. To me, I see that the way that families treat secrecy is it's almost a trade item, to say the least. Like, it's some of the things that people have as their secrets are just, it makes no sense. Why is this thing a secret? And if it was revealed, it's not that big of a deal, right? Or if it does get revealed, just pull the damn Band-Aid off and let it go. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Yeah, I'm also on YouTube as well. I do simulcast my streams over to YouTube at the same channel Blind Dad does. I also do a lot of other video stuff over there too that I don't do on Twitch. So there's things that are there that you're not going to see here on Twitch, and there's things on Twitch here that you're not going to see over on YouTube. So, I just kind of like, because YouTube's a little bit easier to do like the short form videos or more singular kind of form videos. So that's why I have them over there instead of just trying to live stream them out. Otherwise I would just sit here with a recording going, and that's not really all that fun, right? So yeah, if you want to come over to Twitch, again, Iron Save, my username on Twitch is the same. It's Blind Dad Does. So you're more than welcome to head on over there. I'd love to follow. I'm trying to get affiliate status because, frankly, okay, listen, I'm an open book, right? I've everything about my life, everything about me, it's always an open book. So everything is completely open for everything. Polly, thank you so much for the follow. I deeply appreciate it, and I promise I will not abuse the fact that you have graced me with the moment in time that you have chosen to give me here. I really appreciate it deeply. My thing just messed up a little bit. I'm sorry. My music might go a little bit crazy here for a moment. But anyways,
welcome back, friend. I knew this day would come.
Thank you, Jolene. For those that aren't aware, Jolene there in the chat room is my wifeling, my wonderful bread and butter, my person of fortitude and loveliness. I love that woman with a fury 1,000 suns could never match. I'm telling you right now. Anyways, so going back to things, going back to the weirdnesses and all that kind of stuff. One of the things that kind of I'm trying to do with the channels, and again, open book about everything. Okay. I am trying to get affiliate status on Twitch so that I can start getting that Twitch money. That'd be nice. Because I'm dead ass broke, quite frankly. And it's for a reason, like, because I am blind. Okay. I can't go out and work. So I have two reasons why I do what I do here. The first is because I want to be with people. I can't get in my car and go drive somewhere. I don't really have anybody that I would consider to be deep friends that I can converse with that are available all the time. You know, I stay up late at night. I'm a third shifter at heart, all that kind of good stuff. I like to be here with you guys. You know, I like to be here to be like this weird voice in the night that makes you either think, laugh, or I don't know, throw stuff, you know, whatever the case may be. Right. But also, to be fair, I am trying to get affiliate status because I do need to generate income in some kind of a way. With me being blind, I have not been able to work in a long time. And even if I tried, I don't know where it would be. Like, okay, maybe I could go work at McDonald's, but if I have to shove my face down into the grill to see where the patties are, that may not be the best idea. And, you know, my nose being in the fryer, you're probably not going to enjoy the fries, right? So, or losing a finger or anything along those lines. You know what I mean? Like, it's dangerous for me. Okay. With my particular vision issues, it's not like a dim blind thing. It's not that I don't see too little. I actually see too much. And every time that I blink, the whole world completely changes and warps. So, it's not just like your standard kind of visual impairment. It kind of goes a little beyond. So my eyes are pyramid shaped instead of egg shaped. And my vision, blindness is considered anything worse than 2200. Mine is 20/3600. It's terrible. It's absolutely horrible. If I look at something, I see about 100 different versions of it in front of me. I see about another dozen of them over to the side of me. I see another dozen or so over on this side of me. And I have a huge amount of scarring on my corneas. So again, every time that I blink my eyes, the configuration of my corneas change. And I have to figure out, it takes me like a hot moment basically to readjust. So on top of that as well, every time that my heart beats, the whole world pulses with it. So it's kind of like, how do you deal with that going out and trying to work somewhere, right? It's not an easy thing. So yes, I could try, and I have tried, but it's just not something that I can do. So when I went to go apply for disability, now bear in mind, I worked for years. Okay. And some of the jobs that I worked, I made really good money at. I made like $1,400 a week sometimes on the jobs that I worked. I made a good amount of cash, right? And I'm not living the lifestyle that I became accustomed to. I'll tell you that right now. Anyways, so when I applied for the disability, it took me a long time actually to get the approval for the disability. And I haven't been on it super long. It's been a few years at this point, but you know, not as long as I've actually been blind. I started going blind about 12 years ago. And I've only been on it for about 3 or 4 years at this point, you know, so you do the math there. I lived for a long time with nothing. Right. ran through the savings pretty quickly, ran through everything pretty quickly. So when I applied for the disability, get that. Okay, I got to tell this because this is where things get really crazy, right? So thank you so much for this the follow. I'm gonna try to catch your name here. Pelawa? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm sorry. I'm trying to catch it. It's really hard. I'm talking about my disability right here, right now. You can see how much trouble I'm having. Anyways, so when I applied for the disability, you could walk into we're talking about it in the US. I don't know how it is in other countries, but I'm doing it from like the US perspective here. So, from the US perspective, if you can walk in there at all, right, you're probably going to get denied. You could go in there with half your head missing, 2 arms missing, and 1 leg gone, and they'll still tell you can work somewhere. Well, you tell me where I'm supposed to work and I'll go do it, right? But you point me where I'm supposed to go, right? Palawa. Okay. So, anyways, when I applied for the disability, I got denied the first time, which that happens. That happens like more frequently than I can really ever say. It's like they almost do it as a matter of course, thinking that, okay, if we deny this person the first time, then maybe they're going to give up and we're not going to have to pay out to them. Like you might go through another appeal and okay, you get denied, then okay, I'm just giving it up, and so there's one less person that's on the rolls. Okay. I don't know for sure if that's what happens, but I suspect that's kind of like how it goes. And that's kind of my conspiratorial mind kicking in. But anyways, so the first time I went in, I got denied. So I did the appeal. And when I did the appeal, again, I'm going in for blindness, right? The eyes. And sometimes when you go to the appeal process, they decide to send you to one of their doctors to get the approval or basically to figure out, is this guy really disabled or something, right? So they sent me to one of their doctors, a chiropractor. I'm going to give you a moment. I'm going to give you a moment because it took me a moment when they sent the letter and it said, going to a chiropractor. I'm like, what does that have to do with my eyes? Like, in whose right mind? Oh, absolutely. Share my channel all you want. I'm an open book. Everything about my life is a complete open book. And the more the merrier. And thank you so deeply. I absolutely love you for offering. I'm very grateful. I appreciate it big time. So I went to the chiropractor, right? I went there knowing what's going to happen. Right. With backs and bones. Right. Exactly. Nothing to do with the eyeballs. What do these have to do with my back? What do these have to do with a bad knee or whatever the case may be? It's like, I didn't get it at all. So I walked into the place and the guy looks at my chart, figures out why I'm there. And he's like, why the hell are you here? Well, I don't know. You tell me why the hell I'm here. Then we'll both know. I'm here because I was sent to you. You tell me, dude. Well, of course, I got denied because he didn't know how to handle things. He didn't know how to write it up or anything like that because he's not an eye guy. To his perspective, yeah. The guy's fine. He walked in here. He didn't have any back problems. He didn't have any neck problems. He didn't have this. He didn't have that, Okay, I possibly did, but nothing has come through yet, like on my emails or anything like that, because I have all of that turned off while I'm on air. But if you did, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am eternally grateful for it. And yes, I will absolutely check it after the show is over. Thank you so deeply. I tried to set things up so that if somebody does do a donation that it like comes through on things, but I don't think I have it all set correctly. And I need to maybe figure things out, like tweak them and that kind of thing. Cause I'm kind of new to Twitch itself. Like I've been a YouTube guy for years. But I'm new to Twitch, I think I started over there like 3 weeks ago at this point in time. So I like If you have, I literally, you'd be the first person. So, okay. So if it said it on your end, then it probably did. Thank you very, very deeply. I'm so grateful. You're going to make me cry. You're going to make me cry right now. And I don't want to cry while I'm on the air. So I went through the appeal process again, because again, like, I'm blind. I need help, right? I still need this help from these guys. And so I went through another appeal, and the next time that they had me go, they sent me to a doctor who was an eye doctor. Okay. And he asked me what my life circumstances were. Now, I have since found out that that's not really a question that they're supposed to ask. You know, they're there literally just to look at your condition and work from there, right? The circumstances of your life don't matter, but I thought maybe he was just making friendly conversation, you know? And again, I'm an open book. I'm happy to talk about whatever goes on in my life. I don't mind. So I told him, well, at the time I was living with my mom because I had 2 kids, both very young, one severely autistic, and the other one about 6 months old. My wife had just left us to go move off to BFE Canada somewhere to go be with some guy that she met on the internet, walking out in the middle of the night, literally, you know? So I need help. I'm blind. I can't see what I'm doing. I can't work anywhere. I need a little bit of assistance, you know? So my mom said, well, come live with us, you know, come live with me. I've got room, you know? So I did. And when I told this doctor this information, he said, I'm going to tell them that you need to be denied, because I don't think that it is right for a man to sponge off of his mother in that kind of a way. So I got denied. Now, when I reported this guy, nothing ever came out of it. But this is the kind of stuff that people have to go through when they're going through the approval process for disability. Now, what really annoys me, and no fault of theirs, right? No fault of theirs, but I know people personally who've done applications for disability through Social Security saying I'm depressed, and they get instant approval, right? And so my thought is, okay, you guys have denied me multiple times. I've gone through this now for years. I'm depressed. Can I get approved now? You know, I mean, it's like it comes down to that kind of a thing. It's really, it's rough, man, when you've got this stuff that you're having to deal with. So, well, at this point in time, I do get disability, but this is where I'm going with it, right? So I did finally get approved a couple of years ago. And bear in mind, I worked hard my whole life, and the amount of disability that you're supposed to get is kind of based on like your amount of credits basically that you've earned in different quarters and that kind of thing. So the average person on disability gets about $1,300 or so a month. And if you're blind, you can earn up to about $1,700 a month without it affecting your disability. Okay. And that doesn't count what your disability payment itself is. Okay. But when I got approved, they sent me the approval letter and told me how much I'm going to be getting. Now, for those of you guys that are aware of it, because I've talked about this before, but so don't answer. But how much do you guys think that I get per month on disability? Just throwing it out there. How much do you guys think I get per month on disability? Knowing that the average is about $1,300 a month. And in the meantime, I'm going to take a drink. Ooh, that'd be nice. No. $600. $600 a month. That's what I get in disability. That doesn't even pay rent. To be quite frank with you, that doesn't even pay rent. Yeah. And I worked I worked my whole life. There were jobs that I worked like I'd get $1,400 a week, and so I was making really decent money. So to then, turn around and, well, now you have to try to figure out how to live on $600 a month. It's like, what? And then top it off, my son, who is severely autistic. Hey, Sav, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you for being here with me again. Deeply appreciated. I'm very grateful for you spending this moment with me. My son, he just turned 20 actually a couple of weeks ago. 20 years old. God, I'm old. Anyways, never worked a day in his life. He's severely autistic. Never worked a day in his life. He gets like $750 a month. He gets more than I do after having worked my whole life to get what I have, one of my exes got approved for being bipolar, and she gets like $1,500 a month and like worked one job at McDonald's. I'm not understanding this at all. Like, I'm not a young guy, right? So I've paid into the system a lot, Can I get a little bit of that government money? That'd be kind of nice. You know what I mean? So anyways, my point with all of this is that, again, open book, the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I do hope that I can get a little bit out of it. Enough that I can help to feed my family is what it comes down to. So I am very grateful for every moment that you guys want to spend with me, because every moment that you guys want to spend with me gives that little extra couple of cents, on the views and on the YouTube and on the Twitch and everything like that. It gives me that little bit of, affiliate income that comes in. So, but everything that I get, it's not like I'm going out partying or anything like that. It's literally because I need to help feed my kids. You know what I mean? It's like literally because I need to make sure that my family is fed and that we have a roof over our heads. So yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I've wondered like what button got pushed where that made things go wonky, because I that's the only thing I can think is that something somewhere went wonky. You know what I mean? One of my kids who is a girl, but she's kind of working through whether or not she is trans. So I know that I'm saying she, but we usually refer to them as they. But in this circumstance, I'm saying the she part of it, because the government from birth, well, like we didn't discover until way after birth, but for some reason lists her as male. So, I told him, hey, if it does turn out that you're masked, then at least you've got that less bit of a fight to go through, to make it all legal. The government already thinks of you as being a boy, so that's one less thing that you have to fight. So we've never done anything to fix it, because we're making the assumption that that's what they're going to do. And that's something I can talk about too, is that one of the things that I try to do with every show that I do, and I haven't done it yet to this point, and I'll go ahead and do it now, because it's important for me to do this kind of thing. Okay. I like to do these little bit of dad moments, because a lot of people out there have very suck dads. I had a very suck dad. My dad was whiskey drunk and very abusive for a long time. And I didn't get a whole lot out of him until I was older. And I know that a lot of other people out there are going through the same kind of thing. So let me give you this little bit of a dad moment, okay? No matter who you are, no matter what you're going through, no matter what anybody else has tried to teach you, you're worthy of being loved. And I want you to hear that from somebody that knows you're worthy of being loved. If you're not being evil, you're worthy of being loved. The only thing that I want out of anybody that's around me is for you to be the best you that you can be in this moment in time. And that doesn't mean to always be your best. That means to be your best you that you can be in this moment. Sometimes being the best that we can be just means that we were able to get up in the morning, get a little bit of food in us, and go back to bed. I've been there. There are days that are like that, But one way or the other, no matter what anybody else has tried to teach you, you're worthy of being loved, and just be the best that you can be at this moment in time. And if you can walk away from my shows with that in your mind, then it's worthwhile me being here. Okay? Okay. So, one of the things, again, with the dark family secret stuff that I was getting to, that I think is a real issue, is how parents treat their kids when their kids are turning out to be different people than the parents want them to be. I know from the circles that my kiddos are in that there are many parents that are out there that are absolutely horrific to their kids when their kids come out to them. And I don't understand that. I really don't. Like, when one of our kiddos came out to us that they were gay, I was like, okay. And I mean, I knew it to begin with, right? You're not telling me anything that I didn't know. I'm a very empathic person. You can't lie to me. I can smell a lie like a fart in a car. I know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, I already knew. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for trusting me with it, but go take out the trash, and it wasn't anything more than that, like, it didn't have to be. But then other parents out there, like, take it as an affront to their very being. And I don't understand why. If you have your kid come to you and reveal this big thing to you and tell you, hey, by the way, this is what I've got going on in my life, and you reject them, or you abuse them, or you yell at them, or you whatever, then Brenda, don't wonder why later on in life they don't want to have a damn thing to do with you. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make any sense, Okay, see, Polly, thank you for telling us this, okay? Thank you for trusting me enough to tell that story, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like, what my kids do in their bedrooms has nothing to do with me, and I quite frankly don't want to know. I don't want to have anything to do with it. Like, as long as they're being a good human being, that's all that I care about. Are you happy? Then great. That's all that I want for you. Be whoever you want to be. Do whatever you want to do. As long as you're happy and you're being a good human being, then nothing else freaking matters. Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter to me what you do with your life. You do what you're going to do with your life. That's all that matters to me. You know what I mean? And why parents feel it's necessary to step beyond anything with that, it makes no sense to me. My kids are not my slaves. My kids are not my property. My kids are not me. So why? And it makes my rejecting them actually does like more to reflect the person that I would be. I'm saying if I was that, right? My rejecting them would show more of the person that I would be than my kid being gay, And I know a lot of it has to do with religion. I know a lot of it has to do with religion. That's a whole other topic in and of itself, right? And it's horrifying because it's always coming from a place of heartbreak and evil, and it's always come from a place of complete misunderstanding of the texts, because they don't say what people think that they say. You know what I mean? Because I've done the research. Okay, I was on the path to becoming a pastor. I know what the texts say better than your average Karen does. Okay, I know what it says. I read the original Hebrew. I read the original Greek. I read the original Aramaic. I know what it says. It doesn't say what you think it says. It says it in the King James, sure, because that's what it was translated to say. But that's not what it actually said originally. Anyways, going beyond that. The harm that it does to the relationship between the parent and the child is irrevocable. That trust is gone. Like it's a scorched earth policy. It really is. Because, like, again, you know, coming out, your kid came out to you and talked to you about this, Brenda, and now you wonder why they don't want to have anything to do with you when you screamed at them and hollered at them and told them that they were wrong. You know? You can't tell a person that they're fundamentally wrong. And I don't mean just like, you know, incorrect. I mean like built wrong, or whatever you have in your head when you talk to them that day, you know, and expect them to want to have anything to do with you, you know? I'm going to catch up on chat here. I'm sorry. I see you guys have been typing, but give me just a moment. Yeah, I mean, again, Polly, thank you for speaking. I think that people like you that have been through this kind of stuff, the more I'm glad that you are speaking about it openly, because these dark things, these things that we have been through, the more we can talk about them, the more that we can get it out, the more that we can acknowledge the existence, we can learn how to get ourselves past it. And I don't mean to get over it. I mean to get ourselves through it. You know what I mean? And that's, again, why I was saying earlier, you know, sometimes we wake up in the morning and the only thing that we can do is eat a little bite, maybe take a drink and go back to bed, because we just can't otherwise. You know what I mean? But the more people are speaking about this kind of stuff and the way that they have been treated by their parents, the way that they have been rejected by their families, the way that their families have like guilt tripped them into becoming the person that they expect them to be, I think the more our future generations are not going to have to deal with it. I hope that makes sense. It's like, it sucks that right now in this time and place, we have so many people that have to go through that, right? But the positive, I guess, if you want to try to, like, because I always do try to find like the balance in everything. Okay, so these are the things that are very negative, right? So what positivity can come out of it? Well, the people like you that are going through this kind of stuff are learning the lessons that you're never going to put anybody else through this, because you've been through it yourself. You're not going to allow anybody else to go through it. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense, and that I'm putting it across the way that I am intending. Because we do have to try to find some kind of positive outcome to it in some kind of way. There has to be something that we can do to make it so that the anger is useful. A lot of people talk about like the emotions that we go through and how some emotions are negative, like anger is a negative thing. It's not. Anger is a tool. It's there for a reason. It's there to give us the strength to be able to make whatever changes need to happen so that the anger is no longer needed, you know? So it's a righteous kind of an anger. that people have when they're put through this kind of a circumstance. And sometimes that anger is all that somebody can really hold on to in that moment in time. And I can't blame them for it, you know? Okay, so let me go ahead and catch up here again. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, I went through a lot of dark stuff myself, you know, a lot of very dark things in my life. And I had to try to figure out ways, to come to terms with it. Otherwise it would just eat me like a cancer. So one of the, developments that I created for myself was to try to figure out how to spin things in my mind so that I could come to some kind of positive outcome with it. So, the abuse that I went through, you know, my father was very abusive. My second wife was very abusive. My first wife tried to kill me on our honeymoon. I mean, I've been through a lot of things. I've tried to commit suicide 33 times over the years. I've been through a lot of very dark stuff. I've been through basically everything that is possible for a human being to go through, shy of death itself and giving birth myself. So I had to figure out a way to break through the shadows that were surrounding me to come into some kind of light. You know what I mean? And the only and best way that I could come up with things was to figure out, like, the abuse that I went through it so that I would know I never want to do this to my kids. And I'm going to teach my kids, and I have taught my kids, that this is not an acceptable way to live life. If you're in that situation, you need to get out now. You know, don't play around with it. Don't mess around with it. Don't skirt the edges of it. Walk away now. I learned the lesson that even though you are saddled with somebody genetically, it doesn't mean that you have to have anything to do with them. If they're a toxic influence in your life, you can walk away from them and try to find some kind of peace in your life. Because if that toxicity is still there, you're never going to find peace. You're never going to actually grasp peace. You're going to always have it there at your center. You know what I mean? Eating at you all the time. I learned the lesson that the question, what if, is probably one of the most devastating questions that we can ask ourselves. You know, what might have been, or what if, is probably the worst question that we can ask of our insides, because we didn't go through what ifs. We went through what is, you know, and the what is what we have to deal with. So I'm kind of a little bit dark tonight, and I apologize, because normally I'm not really this dark. You know what I mean? I'm usually up here. I'm the fun guy, right? I am, but like, I don't know, just I've been in a weird mood today because of everything that we've been going through. So that's a good way to look at it, Polly. It really is. For me, I don't know. I always tell people, when it comes to like giving me news of some kind, give me the worst. Like, give me, like, lay it on the line. Don't hide anything. Tell me the worst possible things that can come with this situation that we're in right now. Because otherwise my mind is going to create every possibility that it can. That's just the way my mind works. I see patterns in everything, right? And I'll follow a breadcrumb that I don't need to follow, and I'm going to put it into an even darker place than it needs to be, you know, because you didn't tell me what the reality was, right? So I'm going to like come up with the worst crap you could possibly come up with. When my wife, Jolene, was going through her surgery and her, this was just today, actually, is her 7-month anniversary from the surgery. And we almost lost her a few times through it all. And, with all of it, I had to tell the doctors, look, lay everything on the line for me. What are we looking at? What's the possibilities with everything? Because if you don't, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to think every minute of every day that she's going to die, because that's how my mind's going to work. You know what I mean? So save me from myself. Tell me what I need to know and we'll go from there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. I'm sorry that maybe I'm not one of those people that's up here. I'm not one of the girls that's here showing my cleavage and all that kind of stuff. I mean, all of that has a place. Like, more power to them if that's what they want to do, right? But for me, I don't have that mindset right now, you know? Like, I mean, quite frankly, you don't want to see my cleavage anyway. My beard's going to cover it up. So, it's just not me, right? But I like to come on here and I like to talk about whatever anybody has going on in their lives. The other day we were talking about mental health, you know, and like some of the tricks and things like that I've learned and used over the years to try to like get myself through the days that I've been through, because I've been through some very rough days. You know what I mean? So, I know, but that's Twitch TOS, man. I can't show my cleavage to you. I'm sorry. I would show you my boobs, but then I would get disabled. Nobody wants to see it anyways. I got the worst frisbee tits you can ever imagine. But anyways, so, you know, it's like I come on here and I talk about whatever anybody has going on in their lives, you know, and I want to be here as like a resource for people. I want to be here as an entertainment for people. I want to be here as your friend, because you guys, I walked away from my family years ago, frankly. The only people I have in my life are my kids, my wife, my mom, and one sister. Out of 13 kids, one sister, and she wasn't raised with us. So go figure why she's still in my life. Maybe there's something to that. Anyways, to me, you guys are family. And I want to be somebody that you can come to and say, hey, you know what? I've got this going on in my life. Look, I mean, you guys are anonymous, right? I don't know you from Adam. But you guys can tell me anything that's going on in your life, and I'm never going to judge you for it. I'm never going to judge you for it, because quite frankly, I've probably been through it myself. I'd done a lot of drugs. I used to be very addicted to things. The only thing I haven't been really addicted to is things that you can snort or shoot. But I did damn near every other drug that it's possible to do. I never got into alcohol because I was raised by a whiskey drunk. And, you know, when you're raised in that kind of an environment, you're going to kind of go one of two ways, and there's not really any in between. You're going to either become one yourself, or you're going to go as far distant from it as you can, because you don't want to have anything to do with that. And that's the direction I ended up going. So, plus the fact I am Native American, and I'm aware of the fact that, like, in our genetic makeup, there are certain genes that are tweaked in such a way that we have a proclivity towards being addicted to alcohol. So I never really wanted to play around with that line. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, your wife and your kids are amazing, Iron. They absolutely are. Hold on to them. They are precious. But again, you know, look, I'm open book, right? I absolutely. And I believe that everything that I went through for a reason. Again, I had to try to figure out a way to get past all of it, right? Shh, it's my little secret. I had to figure out a way to get past all of it. So my way to get past all of it is that I can spin it around in my mind so that I have the understanding that the reason I did is because anybody can talk to me about anything that's on their minds, and I'm not going to judge them. I'm not going to have the capacity or the capability to judge them. So that's what I'm about. You know, again, you guys will see me playing games. I do like a lot of different games. Fallout 76 is a big one for me. Star Wars: The Old Republic is a big one for me. what else have I played on here? Warframe and Software Incorporated. This Land Is My Land. You name it, basically. I'll enjoy it. The only thing I don't do is PvP games, because again, I have a little bit of a problem. And so like if I try to walk into a PvP game, I'm already handicapped literally. So I'm basically just clickbait. So it's not really that fun for me to do PvP based games. So I won't do those, but I'll do pretty much anything else. The kind of things that I love though are like role playing games, anything post-apocalyptic. I love doing that kind of stuff, you know, tycoon style games, mostly because like, if it's a game where like I can take a couple of extra moments to be able to compensate for my vision stuff, then it's probably one that I'm going to get into more than anything else and be able to stream. Like I'll play other things like on my own, but that's because I can face plant myself into the monitor and be able to get by. So Right, Iron. See, I know you've been through a hell of a lot in your life too. I mean, your life is really similar to mine in so many different ways, and so it's like you get it. You know, you get it. It's like it's, and Polly, you know, you're obviously on the younger side. You know, you were saying that you were going through what you're going through to go through college and stuff. I don't know if you're in college yet or if you're, you know, in that zone yet, but just bear in mind that everything that you're going through, I know it's hard, you know, especially coming out as trans, especially as, you know, dealing with all of that in and of itself is difficult enough. Then you throw in all the other stuff on top of it, and it just, there are days where it can become untenable, and you've got to have some kind of a support system in place to help you through those days when that kind of thing comes on you, you know? And I do hope that you have that. And if you don't, then it's right here. Okay. You can come here and you can talk, you can vent, you can get things out no matter what it is. Okay. So 18, going to college in a month. Well, congratulations on making it to the point where you can go to college, you know, and the best thing I can tell you that you can bear in mind with everything that you do from this point forward, you're a survivor. You have survived everything that's been thrown at you so far, and you can survive anything else that gets thrown at you too. Okay. All you got to do is just keep holding on. Just keep holding on. So, you'll get through everything that you're going through. Nothing's killed me yet. I've been through so many end of the world circumstances so far in my life. I have gone through Y2K. I have been through, Halley's Comet. I've been, oh God, what else? I mean, there's been probably at least a good 25 to 30 different end of the world circumstances that I survived. So I've survived all kinds of stuff. And you know what? So have you. So day at a time. Exactly. Day at a time. It's like an addiction, you know, really it is. It's like the same kind of mindsets that get an addict through everything, get everybody else through everything too, if you really tweak your brain and you think about it. I guess that's the best way I can put it. I am going to jump AFK real quick. My wife needs to go to bed. I'm going to go give her a kiss real quick, and then I'll be right back with you guys, okay? So give me one moment. If my system will switch over. Why are you not switching over? Oh my goodness, computer. What are you doing? There we go. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm almost back, guys. Give me just a moment. I'm having to do a little bit of repair work on my system here real quick. So give me just a brief moment. I'm sorry.
Incoming customer detected.
Keep your eyes open, boys.
We need to have a serious talk.
There we go. I think I got things fixed now. Sorry about that. For some reason, my mouse decided to stop functioning, and so I had to do things really quickly to try to get things fixed. And that's not easy to do when you're on the air, by the way. Not easy at all to do. So, anyways, I am back, and hey, Ollie, welcome. So I'm glad that you are here with us tonight. And I'm glad that all of you guys are here with us tonight. You're meant to be here in this moment in time, and I am extremely, eternally grateful that you have chosen this moment in time to be here with me. Thank you, and I love all of you. So just there you go. Ollie, I know that you are open about talking about this kind of stuff. Meet Polly. Polly has basically admitted, well, not admitted, but basically has talked to us in the chat here. And they are trans and have gone through different things with their parents, denying it and being just absolutely horrible. So I'm saying it because Ollie is, again, open book things. Ollie is my kiddo that had come out to us as being trans and trying to figure things out and all of that kind of stuff. So there you go. Meet and greet. So, anyways, I am back, and thank you guys for holding on there. Jolene, she's not a night owl in any kind of way, and I'm surprised she actually stayed awake as long as she did. So she needed to pass out. And Ollie, by the way, for those of you guys not knowledgeable about it, Ollie B also has a Twitch channel that they have been doing a lot of work with. And Grumble got affiliate before me, even though I've been doing things streaming wise for much longer. Grumble, grouch. But Ollie does a very good job doing games and being extremely entertaining. I love the things that they do. So if you guys would like to check them out, please do. It's Ollie B. Ollie, if you want to go ahead and plug your channel, go for it. It's all good. You'll be able to make use of it in the Twitch chat. And by the way, while you're over here, never mind. I did give you mod again. I forgot. You need to give me mod. That's what we were talking about earlier. Sorry. Weird family communication. There you go. There's the channel for you guys if you want to go check it out. So yeah, you got to give me mod too. Yes, indeed. But not until you're live. So going back to things, one of the things that I wanted to make sure to discuss here, because I tend to discuss this kind of thing when it comes to mental health stuff, and a lot of this stuff does relate to mental health stuff. Oh, can you? Okay, well that works. I didn't know that. And again, I do this because I think that people need to hear this kind of thing, and it's not really something talked about very frequently. Because again, it's like one of those dark things that people try to hide from. Okay. But when you're going through circumstances that are really hard and you're feeling like you don't have a choice except to end things. You've got to figure out a way to get through it. Okay? So what worked for me, and it may not work for you, but just hear the words and maybe it'll kick around in the brain somewhere for the time that it's needed. Okay? But what worked for me, because again, open book, I tried to commit suicide 33 times over the years. And it's been a long time, mind you, but I went through a lot of hell. And I felt that it was necessary for me to take that kind of a step. But I knew I needed to figure out a way to stop that cycle going on. So what I did was I came up with a promise to myself. And I also talked to somebody else about this as well. So like, I felt like I had a little bit of accountability with it. You don't necessarily have to do that yourself, but it's what helped me to make sure that I went through with it. But I promised myself that every day I would wake up and I would make a list of all of the reasons why I should kill myself. And I would write down every reason that I could think of that was floating around in my head of why I should, why I didn't want to be here anymore. And I also wrote down everything that I thought would be reasons to stay. And I would come up with every little thing that I could think of as good reasons to stay. Sometimes it wasn't anything more than the fact that I love the taste of pizza, right? But it was something. I love the smile on a kid's face. I love the smell of pizza. I love looking at flowers. I love the fact that bees, go from one flower to the other and they just live their little lives. And, every little thing that I could think of, right? As good reasons to be here. And the promise that I made myself was that if I had even one thing on the list of reasons to stay, then the decision for that day was made. I would not be killing myself that day. I would not try. And so if the thoughts came back up again in my head later that day, I could tell myself, no, I already made the decision today. Come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow because we're not going to deal with it today. And sometimes it was hard to come up with a reason to stay. Like I said, sometimes it was just the fact that I love the taste of pizza, because I do. Pizza is my favorite food. I think pizza is what's going to save the world. I'll go into that here in a little bit. But what this gave me was not only the strength to get through the days when that cycle kicked in, but it also gave me a laundry list of things that I thought were going wrong in my life. And I could start working on them kind of one at a time to try to get things put back together for my life. So if you're going through something like that, this might be a way to help you until you can get through things. You know what I mean? And again, you don't have to do what I did, but it does help if you talk to somebody about what you're doing so that you have that little bit of accountability, because it's kind of a thing where we as humans, we are more apt to do a thing when we have told somebody else that we're going to do that thing. You know what I mean? So, okay. We'll go off the dark topic, but it's like sometimes I get the feeling like somebody needs to hear it, and it may not necessarily be anybody that's in the room right now, but I do get a lot of people that watch the recordings that I do, and so it was meant for somebody out there, okay? And if it was you, you don't have to say. I'm just saying. Going back to the thought of pizza, though, let me hit this while my mind's on it, because I think that pizza is actually what's going to save the world. I really do. Because I think we humans were created for the sole purpose of making pizza a thing. I think the universe said, you know what? We need to have this in the universe. There's humans. They're going to do it. I think if aliens came down and they were going to take over the world, they were going to destroy humanity because we're evil and wicked and so on and so forth. All we got to do is say, no, you know what? Here, have some pizza. This is this creation that we've made. The aliens will look at it. They'll take a bite and they'll say, you know what? You guys are worthwhile. We're not going to destroy you. We're going to enslave you. You guys are going to be, we'll be your overlords, but we're not going to destroy you because pizza is a good thing. So I know I'm weird, but there's a place that's local to us here that makes a pizza that is like, oh my God, it is outstanding. The thing is like, I kid you not, it's 5 inches thick and it has every topping that you can think of. And it is so delicious. It is decadence on a plate. It really is. And if you could eat more than one piece, more power to you. God love you, because you're having a heart attack or something. I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, it's 5 inches thick. 5 inches thick. The thing is massive. And it's like they do a layer of the sauce, then a layer of cheese, then a layer of sauce, a layer of cheese, layer of sauce, a layer of cheese, and then they throw like the meats, then another thing of vegetables, then you got another thing of meats. And I mean, it's like by the time all is said and done, the thing is, I kid you not, 5 inches thick. It is huge. And it is so good. Oh my goodness, it is so good. So for those of you guys just tuning in for the first time, welcome. This is Blind Dad Does. Tonight, Blind Dad is doing, well, whatever comes to mind. We're having weird discussions about like dark family secrets. We're having discussions about pizza, about whatever comes to your mind. So if you got a topic that you want to talk about, throw it out there because we'll talk about it. I have nothing to hide, and I'm always happy to discuss whatever you guys have going on. We had a pretty decent day today. I made up some food. Well, I didn't make it up. I mean, the food existed, but I created a recipe with it. I did like a weird Korean barbecue kind of a thing. And it was sad, but at the same time it tasted good. Like the sad part of it is that I was trying to do it and like I threw mushrooms in it, and the mushrooms had like a lot of water in it. And so by the time it was all said and done, the barbecue sauce like was really watery. So I had to like try to figure out a way to like solidify it a little bit more to make the flavor be okay. Yeah, I am a writer actually. Yeah, I've published 14 books, and I've published dozens of short stories. If you guys want to check them out, you're more than welcome to. I have 2 websites that are out there. One of them is originalworlds.com. That's originalworlds.com, all one word. And that one is more for my generalized writing. I do science fiction, fantasy, and horror primarily, although I've written a few nonfiction works as well. But that's kind of my go-to genre, is that fiction style. And then I also have another website called bardicwritings.com. And in that website, I do that as my persona, Serene Heart, who is a bard. She is the owner of a bar that is outside of this town called Center, which is at the biggest metropolis within this world that I've created. It's kind of a steampunk magic based world. And so she kind of writes all of her stories about her life experiences and that kind of thing. And those are published over on my website, bardicwritings.com. I have a lot of fun with it. I have not written very much over the past few months. I'd like to, but I got, like when Jolene went through her surgery, it kind of like put a stop on a lot of my creative stuff because I needed to put a lot of energy and concentration into making sure that she was okay. So I haven't been able to write much of anything over the past few months, but I'm starting to kind of kick back in with it again. It's just kind of a cycle that I go through sometimes with it all. But it's something I enjoy doing. I have a device that I write with called a free write. It is kind of a specialized device that's basically a typewriter with an e-ink screen, like a like a Kindle or something like that. And so everything that gets typed into it actually automatically gets saved to the cloud and stuff in multiple locations. Yeah, there's like a bunch of free stories on there if you want to ever check them out. I also, on my YouTube channel, again, Blind Dad Does over on YouTube, I also have created audio dramatizations of a lot of my stories, the short stories. I think there's like 3 or 4 hours worth of dramatizations on there that you could take a listen to. So it's kind of like I try to do it with professional voice work and sound design and music and all of that kind of stuff that I've created. So if you want to check those out, they're over there too. So yeah, it's kind of like I do them as a kind of a creepypasta sort of a style or something like that. But I have a lot of fun doing it. I kind of, now that, so again, weird things have happened over the past few months. I had a microphone that I was using, and the microphone took a nosedive. Literally, it fell off my desk and it hit the ground, and I broke the capsule inside of it. I actually used that microphone for 6 years on the radio, and that was like my favorite thing. It's like the only piece of equipment that I had kept over from my radio days, and it busted. So when it did, I knew I needed to try to do something else, you know, because I got to talk. You know what I mean? Like, it's a thing. I have to talk. So I bought this microphone right here. This is a Rode pod mic. But then I also had to get a different mixer because I didn't have a mixer. And so I was using the other microphone through USB. So I had to get a mixer. So I bought a mixer from somebody. Iron Save. It's actually Ryan Gable that I bought the mixer from. And it got delivered. This is the wonderful thing about UPS. So they delivered it. He put it in a box. He wrapped it up in towels and stuff to make sure that it was protected from getting jarred and stuff like that. And UPS left it sitting on my porch in a rainstorm. Electronic equipment does not deal very well with being left in a rainstorm. And so no matter how well he wrapped it, it got pretty damp. So by the time that I got it out, plugged in, tried to get everything all set up and working, it didn't want to work very well. So I ended up having to go with a different situation. And so that's why I'm on here with this right now. UPS and wonderful in the same sentence. Exactly. Ironically, he says. So anyways, by the time everything was like here and set up and everything,
It's so fabulous.
it was just kind of useless. So I had to go with a different situation altogether. And by the time that I was done setting everything up, give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, there we go. So anyways, I like the setup that I have right now. It's pretty decent. Like, I think I'm getting pretty good sound. I hope I'm getting pretty good sound. You guys will have to let me know one way or the other, because I'm not listening to the stream itself, but I'm assuming that it sounds all right. What I want to do is maybe go back and re-record some of those audio dramatizations that I made, because the microphone, like, I think was already starting to fail a little bit. But I wouldn't mind re-recording them with this whole new setup, because I think it sounds better overall than what I was doing before. But I don't know. Like, it took me a lot of energy to create what I created. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm kind of one of those persons that if I spend the creative energy making something, it's very difficult for me to try to go back to the same thing and like tap into the same kind of energy that I did with it the first time and try to go at it again. You know, I'm kind of a thing where once I've created something, I'm done with it and I put it away, and I, quite frankly, forget about it most of the times. So cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I do. being blind, the audio kind of thing is really important to me. So I try to do what I can to like make things as good as I can get them, you know, in some kind of way. Because I'm kind of obsessive that way. My poor wife is so patient with me. She's so kind to me. She has seen me go through so much hell trying to get my different sound systems set up. Back when I was doing the radio stuff, man, I went through, everything was self-educated. You know, it took me like a long time to try to get everything figured out. And I spent probably a good almost couple of months trying to get everything put together correctly. But when I finally did, I was satisfied with it. Reasonably as satisfied as I can get with it anyways. So I try to, you know, bear in mind that I don't want to drive her crazy, but I gotta have it sounding pretty good too, you know? So, but I think it's okay. I think it's doing okay. I think it sounds better today than I did, like, you know, back in the radio days overall. And I think it sounded okay for what it was back then too. But I'm glad I'm out of those radio days too. Iron, you know what things were like there at the end of things at that station that I was with. So, yeah, music really is life. I mean, everything, like nothing really exists if you think about it, you know, and it's hard to think about because we do have like this set of senses that we work with, but they're really just like sensors on a spaceship or something like that. You know, they don't really do much except translate the data that's coming in. But in reality, frankly, everything has to do with frequencies. And what are frequencies? Sounds. So music really is life. You know, the universe exerts itself through frequencies, and you can like warp and change whatever mindset you want to have based on the frequencies that you're putting into yourself. Sometimes when we get sad, we like to listen to songs that make us sad because we want to feel that emotion even harder. You know what I mean? We like to like keep ourselves as in depth into it as we can. You know, I think that music has a power to it. It really is a magic, you know, that you can change your reality based upon what you're hearing. And I don't mean like necessarily, poof, I just created this thing out of nothing or something like that. You know, it doesn't necessarily work that way. Although it might. We don't know, right? We don't know unless we know. But you can warp how your senses perceive things based upon what you're hearing, you know? So I've learned that even more so since my vision issues became what they are. I kind of understood it to a point before then, but you know, there's a lot of people that say, okay, well, when you lose one sense, the other senses like pick up even harder and that kind of thing, or you get some kind of special superpowers and that kind of stuff. I mean, there is something to that, but it's not necessarily the fact that like, okay, if you lose your sight, then your hearing gets better. It's not really that. It's just more of a matter of you're more aware of what sounds are coming in. Your brain doesn't like delete them out quite as much, because you have to be like more compensating, if that makes sense. So it's like, no, the hearing isn't technically any better, but it's what you're perceiving becomes better. You're more aware of what's coming into the ears because you're not paying as much attention as what's coming into the eyes. You see, it's so, it's a little weird, you know. For me, yes, my hearing did get warped into different ways, but what ended up improving for me is the thing that sucks the most. I can smell things so much harder than I did before. And that's not always a good thing. When you live with many people, there's 5 people in this household, 2 of them teenaged. Having a super sniffer is not necessarily the best thing that I could go through with all of that. You know what I mean? So, Yeah. Yeah. More potent. Yeah. I can definitely like smell things a lot easier. You know, it's like things are a lot more prevalent scent wise and touch wise. Like my touch is a lot better now too. My hearing is kind of, yes, it's a little bit better in some ways, but again, it's because I'm listening harder, as opposed to, you know, it getting better. Yeah. At the pizza. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Pizza is life. I tell you, pizza is life. I think the universe is one big pizza. So anyway, yes, by the way, I do vape. I used to smoke. I smoked for like 30 years and I ended up quitting 8 years ago. Actually, my 8-year anniversary for quitting smoking was just a couple of weeks ago. I'm really proud of myself. You know, it's like, yes, I vape. You're going to see the smoke clouds and that kind of stuff. And I hope that you don't mind that. But I did it. I did it for Jolene. Like I quit smoking for Jolene. Again, my wife, for those of you guys not aware. She's got the heart issues. She was born with the congenital heart defect that she's got. And so every time that I would smoke a cigarette and she was around, it would make her chest hurt. And, you know, just, she would feel really, really bad with it. So, as a birthday gift to her, I quit smoking, but I knew that like I had tried quitting smoking before and it didn't work out very well. So, I ended up switching over to, vaping. And within 24 hours of the first time that I picked up the vape, I was done with cigarettes and I haven't had a cigarette ever since. Well, no, I take that back. I had one. I've had one. It was probably about a year after I quit smoking. I found an old pack of cigarettes and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it out again. Just to say that I did. I did the same thing with Mountain Dew. Like I drank a lot of Mountain Dew in my youth. And well, when I say my youth, up into my 30s too. I would drink like a case a day myself. You know, that's way too much. You don't need to drink that much Mountain Dew, dude. But I did. And when I quit drinking it and I switched over to tea, once in a while, I'll have a drink of Mountain Dew. Like if we go to a restaurant or something like that and they have it, I'll order Mountain Dew to remind myself of why I don't like it anymore. Because the first time I tasted it in a while after I quit drinking it, I was like, oh God, how did I even like this stuff? Ooh, this is terrible. You know? So your favorite food is broccoli. And then yours is Brussels sprouts. My goodness. Broccoli tells you by its color and its smell that it's inedible. How can you people eat broccoli? No. Broccoli is evil. It is the devil. Flip-flops are of the devil, by the way, too. Just so that you're aware. Flip-flops are an invention of the devil and created for humanity to be destroyed with. Anyways, I think one giant flip-flop is going to destroy humanity one day. Brussels sprouts, no, I don't like them too much either. Raw broccoli. You hate steamed broccoli. So I don't like broccoli in either case. You could serve it one way or the other. Nope, it's not for me. I have never gotten along with broccoli like at all. I don't know why. I like cauliflower. I mean, cauliflower is just the pale face version of broccoli, I guess. But you know, I'll eat cauliflower all day long. But nah, broccoli, not for me. Don't like it, and I'm not going to do it. But funnily enough, I like what is it? Rice-A-Roni makes the cheddar and broccoli rice. And I like that. But I don't like broccoli with cheese. Don't ask me. Ira don't know. This is how my brain works. I'm a weirdo. I am the strangest person that I've ever met. I try to prove it every day. There you go. I just proved it. I don't like broccoli at all, but I like... Anyways, it's the weird things we humans have to go through, I guess. So, where was I? I was on a topic and I got myself distracted. Where was I, guys? Remind me. I'm old. I forget. Getting hungry now. I am too. I haven't eaten since like earlier this afternoon. But I'm still here with you guys. I will get you through this. I will get you through this. The peanut butter sandwich is calling me though. No clue. That's okay. We'll move on. It apparently wasn't important. So the going back to the topic at hand with the dark family secrets, one of the things that I wanted to also mention is like, we as humans, we have like this proclivity towards looking at the negative things. And I think that it's for a reason. Senses. Yes. Okay. I'll get back to that in just a second. I think that it's there for a reason because like it's a survival instinct. You know, the shadows are where like the lion is hiding and it's going to come out and bite us. So we humans, like we have to like skew our brains a little bit towards that negative stuff. So it's like, it's hard for us to get into a more positive mindset about the things that we go through or the things that our family goes through or the things that we're told and all that kind of stuff, because we have that already negative skew on things. So we have to work kind of like extra harder to do the positive kind of stuff. And I know that there are groups and there are people and all that kind of stuff that are all about the love and the light. And I dealt with a lot of that when I was in the radio days, because that was kind of one of the big fringe topics that was going around back then is, you know, everything's light and love and we have to just focus on that and nothing else. Well, I'm sorry to tell you but my friends, you've got to look at the negative sometimes. Okay. You've got to look at the shadows, because the shadows are where the lions are, and they will come out and bite you in the butt when you least expect it, if you're not paying them any attention. You've got to know the shadows that are there. Because the universe, it's easy to revert back to that negative. The universe is all about balance. It abhors a vacuum. It's not going to have things be positive or negative more for a very long time. Rainstorms happen because, not rainstorms, but, you know, storms, thunderstorms, lightning, and all that kind of stuff happens when there is an imbalance of ions, either more positive or negative, in the atmosphere. That's what forms a storm. It has to use that power of that storm to dissipate that excess positive or negative energy. So nature will do everything that it can to eliminate the vacuums that are created by those powers being skewed one way or the other. And so if we kind of understand that as a concept, we can kind of, again, skew our brains to work with the idea that, okay, I understand that everything is in balance. So what is going on that I can look at that is either positive or negative to try to bring a balance to this ecosystem that's within me? It works on a physical level. It works on a mental level. It works on an emotional level. But we have to do what we have to do to get by. So, anyways, going back to the senses thing. For me, I know that I'm lucky enough, quote unquote, to have the vision issues that I do, because I think I think the universe made me blind so that I don't take over the world. It's really what it comes down to. Because, you know, before I had the blindness kick in, I mean, I maybe wasn't the nicest of persons, and I can admit to myself that was there with me. You know, that I had a tendency to use people. So again, open book, right? I don't hide anything. I know this is something that I had with myself before I learned my lessons. But going blind was a very humbling experience. I couldn't focus on using people. You know what I mean? Like, one of the ways, so let me give you an example, okay? One of the ways that I would use people in my younger days was I lost my virginity at 9 years old. Okay. I know. Weird, but I wasn't ready for it. But it was a babysitter of mine took advantage of me. And I know, technically speaking, I was molested, but, you know, I was exposed to it at that point in time. And for a number of years, this is hard to talk about. You know, it's hard to be honest about this kind of stuff, right? But it's still stuff that has to be talked about, and people don't talk about it very much. For a while, I associated the feelings of love with sex. I was very addicted to sex because I desperately wanted to get back to that discovery, you know, that moment where my innocence was taken from me. And I thought, in a weird way, you know, a teenage mind, right, works in weird ways. I thought that the way to do that was through Nookie. Of course I wasn't right, but I didn't know any better. And being raised during that period of time that I was, nobody talked about that kind of stuff. So I didn't have anybody to talk to. I didn't have anybody to like vent to. I didn't know how to go about fixing myself. So I would go from girl to girl to girl to girl, trying to do everything that I could to get the girl so that I could have that experience. And I looked like no brag to this, right? But I know at the minimum I was together with at least 55 women. And there's no brag to that, believe me. Because there was no attachment for any of it. And I'm not proud of it. I don't regret it, but I'm not proud of it, right? But I say it because that's how much I was trying to seek this fulfillment that just couldn't be found because it wasn't going to be found that way. It was because I was broken. Does that make sense to you guys? It's because I was a broken person trying to put myself back together by self-medicating through sex is really the best way I can boil it down. So the only regret that I have with it is how I treated the people, the women that I misused through all of that. And the reason why I say 55 that I can remember is because I did do a lot of drugs during that period of time. And I know there are more that I couldn't name you. You know what I mean? And see, these are things that aren't talked about very much, right? But I'm open book with everything because these are experiences that people have, and there's nobody that's out there that's willing to talk about their own experiences with it, or at least it's very rare, you know, that want to talk about this kind of experience to be a help, you know. So again, like I said, I'm not proud. I'm not saying it as a pride. I'm saying it because this is what I went through. It's just a statement of fact. I'm a different person now than I was then, thankfully. But it took a lot of doing to get there. And that addiction that I had led me into my first marriage, where my wife tried to kill me on our honeymoon, which then led into the second marriage that turned into 5 years worth of me being abused, that led into my third marriage, that led into my fourth marriage. Okay, my third marriage, the woman literally walked out in the middle of the night to go escape to Canada to go be with some guy that she met on the internet, you know. Just one horrible experience after another, after another, after another. And it wasn't until, see, I think the way the universe works, and again, this is weird, right? But bear with me, because I've seen this kind of thing happen in different people over and over, and I especially have seen it in myself. I think that the universe works in such a way that it will give us different things that we're supposed to be learning, or things that we're supposed to be figuring out. And it'll keep hitting us with different circumstances to teach us that. And if we don't catch it the first time, then it's going to give it to us again. And if we don't catch it that time, then it's going to give it to us again. And then again, and then again, and again. And each time, it gets a little bit harder and a little bit harsher. Until finally, either you give up or you learn. You die or you learn is really what it comes down to. And once I figured that out, like once I figured out that what I was doing was, I mean, it basically came down to this. I was going through life feeling like I needed somebody in my life when I didn't. And it took me learning that I didn't need anybody in my life before I finally got somebody that I wanted. I hope that that's clear. Like you have to figure out that when you need somebody in your life, anybody and everybody can take advantage of you. And you're never going to be fully satisfied because you're always going to have that need. So even when you're together with somebody, it's not going to be fulfilling, and it's probably not going to last very long because you're addicted to the need of having somebody there. So you're going to then break up with that so that you can then need something else to see, so that you can seek it out. I think one of the best things that somebody can do for their life is to live alone for a while and to figure out like how to survive on your own without any relationships, I don't mean friendships, but I mean like, close relationships that you're together with. Just avoid it for a time. Be by yourself for a while so that you can figure out the fact that you don't need somebody. Because then you're not going to be taken advantage of. Then you're not going to also allow yourself to take advantage of yourself because you'll feed on yourself. That's what it really comes down to. You'll feed on yourself if you're not careful. So that's what I did. That's what I was doing for a long time, was feasting upon my own energies, trying to fulfill this need that I perceived was there, when in reality, I didn't actually need it. And it was after that I ran across Jolene, and she came into my life. And I love this woman with the fury 1,000 suns could never match. I want her in my life, And it was because I chose to allow her in my life, not that I needed her in my life. I hope that all that makes sense. It's like when I finally broke through that series of lessons, finally the universe was like, okay, well, here you go. Here's your reward. It took me 3 marriages and a lot of devastating relationships to get to the one that was meant for me. Hello again, Ollie. How you doing? You holding up all right? Ollie's a little weirdo. Ollie's just as weird as I am, in their own way. I know you've been there. I know you. Yes, you are weird. You are too. You're one of the weirdest people I know. But that's probably why you're one of my best friends too. So yes, they're my kid, but they're also one of my dearest friends. And that's, I don't know many parents that can say that kind of thing. Like, even though they're my kid, I really enjoy their company. I really enjoy like being with them, because they amuse me. It's true. It's true. I do love you. Anyways. So with all that being said, oh, you bet, Polly. Thank you so much for being here. And I do hope that you come back again to us. But I'm very grateful for the moments that you have chosen to spend with me here. And I hope that you go away from this with a lighter heart and nothing but love in your mind. Okay? Nothing but love in your mind, because that's all I got for you. Okay?
What is with you people down there? My God, you need some help.
Indeed. All right. You have a good night. Sleep well. I'm probably going to get off here pretty soon myself. I'm getting a little tired and I'm getting very hungry. So, and I know that Ollie wants to get on too. So, anyways, with all that being said, I do think I'm going to go ahead and take off here too. But, I hope that you guys have had a good time. And if you have, make sure you guys hit that follow button. If you're there over there on Twitch, I would definitely appreciate that. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you guys are aware of when I come out with something new. I come out with something new every day. Every day I'm right here for you guys and spending time with you and trying to have as much fun as I can. So I hope that everybody out there has a blessed night, a wonderful night, and sleep well whenever you get there, and just be well. All right. And until next time, keep safe out there. Have fun. Thank you so much as always for being here. We'll talk to you again later.
Incoming customer detected.
Keep your eyes open, boys.
We need to have a serious